how are you? Chaz, good to see you. Pardon me, I am here at 401 Richmond. And I got off to a slow start because I got lost in the building. It is a super cool building. I got in and I went right instead of left, and that just brought me into a rabbit hole of exploration. This is an artist's loft, basically. Old manufacturing building. I don't know the history, but walking in there is amazing because all you have are these old wooden floors that if you do aerobics, the best kind of floors to bounce on. Hey, Dave and Bang Remain, how are you? So there's this thing called actualizing, and athletes do it. If you're on the bobsled team, you close your eyes and you visualize, the mechanics of getting up to speed and jumping into your vehicle. Apparently that helps you prepare to do those things better. And I like to do something like that as well. So I came early to look at the exhibit and talk to the girl who's at the front desk and make a donation and sign up for newsletters and all that jazz and talk a little bit about it. I said, can I bring a coffee? And I didn't think she was sure, but I'm not bringing one. And I said, can I take pictures? She said, yes. So that, I'm not going to tell them I'm going live, but do it. And it's very quiet because I think everything's done with headphones, so I'm going to do my best to put headphones on the phone so you can listen to what I'm listening to. It might be awkward. Anyway, this is the 52. 52% of the population in Toronto are women. They've decided to have an art show dedicated to 52 women who helped transform the city over centuries. Adrienne Clarkson, Margaret Atwood. There's some artifacts that have been donated by the artists and women. Anyway, it should be interesting. And I'm going to have about 5 minutes. I'm going to go in. I just want to show you what this neighborhood's like. We'll walk the length of the building back and forth. And then I'll pop in. And this is Richmond going west, one-way street. At one time, this was Clubland. I just think that whole thing got killed by pandemic. Oh, something smells great. Indian food. There's some deliciousness there. Hey, Madano, how are you? Dan, next time you come downtown, I gotta buy you lunch because you're just always there. Hey, Brad Bomber, how are you? I am in noisy downtown Toronto. ready to pop into the 401, the Toronto Museum. It's essentially a little tiny museum in a art space, a giant art space at 401 Richmond. And so I'm going to look at this exhibit, which features 52 women who are instrumental in transforming the city of Toronto. Two things. Well, the well is right towards me, right in front of me. In fact, I think that I will go there when I'm done here. I'm kind of hungry. I had some hot cereal for breakfast. That was several hours ago, and a yogurt, which Muzzy helped me finish. And I could go for my tea. Might go for some Jappa Dog. Brad, you're not feeling great? Here's to feeling better, bud. Walking special, $7.95 spaghetti and tomato sauce. Served with 2 pieces of garlic bread. Ain't a bad deal. So this is 4 floors of galleries and studios, shops and bookstores, and it has all of those things, and I saw them all because I went in the wrong way. I went to the 4th floor in a very cool elevator and proceeded to find the stairs on every floor. So I basically did a tour of every floor of this place and got back down to the 1st floor where I found the exhibit. So now we're going to go in. Hey, I feel that some people call it spring. I call it the season where I blow my nose 50 times a day. I do take a pill, and I started taking a pill a few years ago. I didn't realize I had allergies for springtime. I just thought I was suffering through seasonal cold or something. So I said, no, you've got allergies. I'm like, no, I don't. They're like, yeah, you do. Take this pill. And it changed my life for the better. But I still blow my nose 50 times a day. Neat space. Places that where artists live are always the coolest spots. the east entrance. So we're going to go to the east entrance. It says that in the flyer. I didn't read the flyer to that extent before I came. And that is the west entrance. Very large building. In there is a bike lane. My favorite kind of bike lane is a protected bike lane. You see intermittent spaces so emergency vehicles can use it. But those are the best kind because your car gets damaged when you go into the bike lane. Just keeps you out of the bike lane. There's classic things in between. In many parts of the city, if you drive over them, they bend. Sure, they'll give you a heads up that you're in the bike lane, that you might have run over a bike at that point. Okay. So now I'm here. Now I'm going to go in. To put the phone at an awkward angle so they don't know I'm live streaming. Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Oh, careful.
Yeah. Just to register.
I've already
Oh,
done
you
it.
already did?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
I think so.
You're welcome.
Enjoy. You have. No. Okay, so this is Cassie. She's our marketing person. So I'm free. This square says I have donations. Do you know? You looked at any of that stuff? Go back. Try and do you know anything that you and I just okay? We're just going to show you. Yes, and then so that's what we'll do. We'll go to Square, and then we'll do the donations from there. How do you? And you know what that really? Yeah, it's like oh, and be quick. Can you talk about that? Yes. Okay. And figure out that is I do the cash, and I'll do the administration. If you can meet with the you can put that on your agenda. So tell me what that is.
I know, because the process of like, which 52, right, like it's, no,
It's women's voices that have been lost for some time and are the needed perspective from trends. You look like you could use some advice on love. You need some words on art. Here are my thoughts on politics for you. But please, there's something for everyone. Kim Holman, Kim of the Mail is what we call me. in Toronto and beyond, across the country and internationally, the young and old are talking about my outspoken opinions. I just don't see how we can avoid speaking about what truly matters. You've probably read my column in the Toronto Mail and Empire. You've seen my column on women's kingdom. You know, the editors wanted me to stay sequestered in giving advice on chiffon women's skirts and what they call women's tops. It's quite demoralizing. Yes, I always strive to heighten a women's point of view, but that view is vast, is it not? While I have you here, let me ask you, and I want your honest opinion.
Some of these you can't hear with the headphones.
Yeah, well, I saw the people before, maybe when I went to record it. But I'm like, Rebecca, Alex.
Yeah, those headphones don't work. So this is Jane Jacobs, City of Toronto Historical Collection. David Miller, former mayor. Jean Lum, who worked tirelessly to challenge oppressive Canadian laws that discriminated against Chinese immigrants in the 50s. Slova Greenberg dedicated to culturally specific elderly care and started the Toronto Jewish Old Folks Home in 1918. Eventually, this home became Baycrest, an academic hospital that cares for the elderly and other vulnerable communities and leads in global research in Alzheimer's. My dad went there.
Okay, again.
Bernice Redmond. Born and raised in Toronto, was the first black nurse in Canada, but she had to train in the U.S. because Canadian schools were segregated. She later returned to Canada, practiced in Nova Scotia, and was appointed to the Victorian Order of Nurses, the first black nurse to receive the distinction.
No, they're not. I think they really fell out of. They were really, I know for like up until the 80s, they were very common. I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
people that only been out there. A full-on like taste.
Yeah. I think this is a selling thing because you know, you know, different size. Yeah. And it says the little note at the front says we don't include this.
Sadia Muzaffer is a woman and STEM supporter and advocate for responsible innovation. She's the founder of Tech Girls Canada, a research nonprofit advocating for women working in technology, and co-founder of Tech Reset Canada, a group that pursues and leverages new technologies for the public good. Hey, Jay, Kathy, welcome. So what they've done is they've got these 52 women, and they got 52 actresses to do a little monologue, which I can't do justice because some of the headphones work, and some of them just so quiet you can't hear nothing. So I'm just going to read these and show you the women and read what they have. So Kathleen Taylor In 2014, became the first woman to head a major Canadian bank when she took over the position of chair of the Royal Bank. She's also incredibly active with Toronto Sick Kids Hospital, and she chairs the foundation's board and co-chairs its capital campaign. Neat.
Or it's like, they don't have to do it, but they have to. Yeah, deep appreciation.
And Dr. Roberta Bondar. In 1992, Dr. Bondar made double his fate. She was the first neurologist and first Canadian woman to visit space. Today, she's an avid photographer who uses her art to advocate for environmental sustainability. Neat. Women need not always keep their mouths shut and their wombs open. Oh, that's smart. Who'd we miss? So they picked the number 52 not because of a deck of cards, it's because the population of women in Toronto is 52%. So that's how they came upon that number. And if you think they've missed somebody, then you fill out this and write it on here. And Monica Forrester, advocate for trans women, and has done amazing things at Maggie's Toronto Sex Workers Action Project. Toronto's lucky to have her. Neat. Well, if you watch the CBC, you know who this is. Adrienne Clarkson, in the 60s, embarked on a career in journalism after graduate studies at the University of Toronto. In 1975, she joined CBC News, The Fifth Estate, and became the first racialized person, the first person of Asian heritage to headline a national news program. I grew up watching her, and from 1990 to 2005, she served as Governor General of Canada.
Yeah, because like 6 minutes is, I know everyone else is too. That's, you know, that's, yeah.
This is Emma Goldman, who was a lifelong anti-fascist, anti-war activist, and anarchist. After years of exile, she relocated to Toronto in 1939, where she continued her political organization and support for social justice causes. Neat. In 1960, all Canadian women to have the right to vote. Over there it says 1974. Before a woman couldn't have a credit card until 1974. 1998, Audrey McLaughlin led the NDP from 89 to 95, and we still have not had a woman lead a federal Liberal Party. Gender equity in the House of Commons. Rwanda, Afghanistan, Mexico, South Sudan governments have us beat. That's embarrassing. Trans women or trans feminine representation at the federal level, what the United States and the United Kingdom do.
I saw that and it's like, okay, there's 52.
This is Dr. Jill Andrews. 2018 made history as the first black queer person elected to the Ontario Legislature, Toronto St. Paul's. He's a member of the NDP. Politics focus on gender, race, and social justice, the housing crisis, healthcare and inequities, education, and arts and culture. He's also the co-founder of Body Confidence Canada and co-owner of Glad Day Bookshop, the world's oldest LGBTQ bookstore. Neat. Flora McDonald. Where's Flora McDonald? I don't see a picture. Mary Fix with her little puppy is a double first. She became the first woman to work as a lawyer in Ottawa, and later in 1953 the first woman to hold public office in Toronto Township, or now Mississauga. She's also committed to historic preservation and founded the Toronto Township Historical Foundation in 1960. Oh, Flora McDonald. That is Flora McDonald. Yeah, the mic's a little difficult. Flora McDonald Dennison was a major force in the Toronto suffragist movement. She was a true radical progressive around birth control, social class, and marriage. In fact, she considered marriage to be a form of slavery for many women. Now, I've done many things in my life. I was a lumberjack. I worked construction as a laborer. I went to chef school. And in university, I took psych, and I realized that the education system was shit. And then I took women's studies, and I majored in women's studies in university. So this stuff's very familiar to me, and awesome and cool. Joan Rowlands is a woman of many firsts. In 1991, she became the first woman to become elected mayor of Toronto. Later, she became the first woman to chair the Toronto Transit Commission and the Toronto Police Commission. And if I remember correctly, she banned the Bare Naked Ladies from doing a concert at City Hall and got laughed at. That was a long time ago. I love this old-timey phone. Hazel McCallion, in her 20s, played professional hockey in Montreal, and I did not know that. She'd probably put you up against the boards pretty hard. She was elected mayor in Mississauga in 1978 and held the position for an incredible 12 consecutive terms. That's 36 years. She guided Mississauga's development from a small Toronto suburb into the 6th largest city in Canada with a powerhouse economy. Her personal motto, think like a man, act like a lady, and work like a dog. Well done. Very interesting space. This is Ozma Malik, first Muslim-identifying hijab-wearing woman elected to public office in Canada. As a Toronto City Councillor, Malik led efforts to build Toronto's first downtown public school in 20 years and named it after Jean Lung, a tireless advocate for the Chinatown community, and who's on their list of 52. She was actually one of the first I looked at. What a neat space. Oh, this is my pleasure. I'm really enjoying this. Reverend Sherry DeNovo, a minister of the United Church. DeNovo made history by performing one of Canada's first legal same-sex marriage in 2001 at Toronto's Emmanuel Howard Park United Church. Later, she was elected to the Ontario Legislature, where she passed more LGBTQ plus bills than anyone in Canadian history, including Toby's Act, which recognized trans rights in Ontario, an act banning conversion therapy, and Trans Day of Remembrance. We got sports. And we watched tennis. This is Bianca Andreescu. Made clear that tennis was Canadian as a force that can't be ignored. 2019, she became the second Canadian tennis player to win a Grand Slam singles title and the first Canadian to win a Canadian Open. And she beat one, was it Venus? Serena or Venus? I can't remember which one she beat.
So next week's program starts. Yeah, it's just like she just from me out. Yeah, not even like no contact and so just like it happened.
Phyllis Bombury was the first professional softball player, one of the first professional softball players in Ontario. She was one of the best catchers and hitters in her league and played for the Ohsweken Mohawks and Toronto Carpetland teams. As a Carpetlander, her team won back-to-back championships in 1967 and by 1968, followed by the gold medal at the first Canadian Canada Games in '69. She was the first woman to win the Tom Longboat Award, which recognizes Indigenous sports heroes. Cool. There she is. Oh, here's a hockey jersey worn by Angela James during the IIHF Women's World Championship, Ottawa, 1991. And that's happening right now, actually.
Waste of your time, energy, smoking weed. You got a real chance. Being honored.
Angela James, born and raised in Toronto, James was the first superstar of women's hockey. She led the national team to world championship titles in 90, 92, 94, and 97.
Left off at first.
She's an inductee in the Hockey Hall of Fame, the first openly gay athlete, and the second black athlete to be recognized by the organization.
Alive, accessible, and
Diana Carter was the first Canadian woman, to compete and win in motorsports. She won 3 consecutive Coupe de Dame titles between 63 and 65, a racers considered one of the toughest rallies in North America. She was also a sports journalist and was eventually inducted into the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame. I feel I missed somebody. No, I did not. Science, tech, and business. Rowena Hume. In 1911, Hume became the first woman to serve as president of Toronto Women's College Hospital. She was the chief of obstetrics and gynecology. Later on, in 1932, Hume co-founded the first birth control clinic in Canada. That's a big deal. Condoms. From like a million years ago. Beatrice Worsley is widely considered to be the first woman in Canada to pursue computer science. Her family moved from Mexico to Toronto, where she grew up and eventually worked on Canada's very first fully functional computer. Wow, thanks, Madonna. What a great game that was. Or what a great match. Here we go. Cecilia Krieger, the first woman to earn a PhD in mathematics from Canadian University in 1930. For over 30 years, she taught at the University of Toronto both in maths and physics. Originally from Poland, she also translated a number of Polish mathematic texts into English. Dr. Clara Cynthia Benson was the first woman to graduate from the University of Toronto with a degree in chemistry. During World War II, World War I, she adapted food chemistry analysis to work with explosives, techniques that were later adopted by munitions labs to standardize procedures. Love the old-timey microscope. Okay, Elizabeth Elsie McGill was the first woman to earn a master's degree in aeronautical engineering. During World War II, she oversaw the production of fighter planes at Thunder Bay's Can-Car factory. McGill was firmly pro-choice and believed women should have full control over their bodies. I'm really happy that there are people who are talking in here because it allows me to do it. Oh, here's the story. The Toronto pop group Bare Naked Ladies refused to accept the key to the city from Mayor June Rowlands during a concert yesterday. Rowlands wanted to present the key to the band members before they began playing at the All Day Beach Fest 94 free music festival in the beaches area. But things didn't come off as planned. I think it was a symbolic gesture of making up with the city of Toronto. Oh, I see. So in 91, the city of Toronto banned the group from playing in all city-sponsored Nathan Phillips Square because its name objectified women. Okay, cool. Garyin Hun. Hun became performing in classical Cantonese operas from a very young age. At 20, she arrived in Canada from China after escaping the Sino-Japanese War of 1938. She toured the Chinatowns of Canada, bringing singing and performance to diasporic communities, and eventually settled in Toronto. Karen Kane, a legend, joined the National Ballet at the age of 18, quickly became one of her company's star performers. Her artistry put Canadian dance on the international stage. Eventually, she became an artistic director of the National Ballet. In 2005, a position she held for a record-breaking 17 seasons.
Oh my God, someone just died, right? Patrick, yeah, just died, so.
It's like that, but also continuing that.
Yes, Vivian is someone I know as well, and yeah, to me, that's something really interesting.
dedicated Swan Lake Tutu.
Yeah, he is like, yeah, we should post some fashion
Oh, my pleasure today, Kathy.
space to tell their stories and yeah, capture it so that it can like so we can learn from it, you know, so that
And Margaret Atwood, who I met several times because she comes to the restaurant. She's very tiny. Atwood published her first book, The Edible Women, in 1969. Since then, she's gone to publish 16 novels, including The Handmaid's Tale and The Blind Assassin, 11 short story collections, and numerous nonfiction books and poetry collections. She's also an inventor. 2006, she introduced the Long Pen, a tablet and robotic hand that allows users to write in ink remotely. Who knew? In the 70s, she was an underground comics illustrator using the pen Bart Gerard. I've skipped a couple, but I'll come back. Jackie Shane was an electrifying jazz and soul singer of the 60s and one of the first trans women to publicly proudly live her whole life out in Toronto. She's also a drummer and occasionally played with Little Richard's band. Neat.
because otherwise we're definitely just the same mistakes. Yes. Yes. I was at a Black Arts meeting together with a band. So someone said,
Cantonese opera costume.
at the mayor's office, and he was like, he said that, someone said that at so many times there's like a group of well-meaning young people who are like, this is the first time
Frances
I'm doing
Lauren
it, and it's not,
was
you know
a
what I mean? They
sculptor
just don't know the history.
and made life in Toronto with her partner, artist Florence Weil.
And no one tells them.
The two transformed their home into a sanctuary and meeting place for the city's creatives. Lauren's art is part of numerous memorial monuments and public art projects across Toronto and Ontario. Van Ginkel, Blanche Lemko Van Ginkel, was the first woman to be elected as an officer of the Royal Architectural Institute of Canada in 1973.
Yeah, like,
Van Ginkel and her husband, also an architect, are credited with saving the old Montreal from a proposed highway that would have torn through the neighborhood. She played a critical role in the planning and design of Montreal's Expo 67 and later taught at the UT.
I teach voice to the community school. Oh my god, it was nice to see you too. This is so great. I just like, this is just so great. I will be back. I might even be back.
I love this.
Once, you know what I mean? Because you said like, we're like people. I'm like, hey, y'all, like, this is brilliant, you know what I mean?
goes on, I'm sure there'll be like, like more objects and things.
Rosemary Sadler, Torontonian Sadler, has made it her life's work to ensure historical black figures in Ontario get their well-deserved recognition.
Descendants, you know.
Among other milestones, she led efforts to get Black History Month recognized in Canada from 1996 and has written multiple children's books on important black historical figures to spark pride and joy for younger generations.
Wait, I know this person too. Lisa. And
Lisa came yesterday.
yeah, and I knew someone who was like actually a personal assistant of Judith. Yeah, worked with her and like, you know.
Miss Columbia Coco Diaz was born and raised in the Philippines and trained as a social worker. She came to Toronto in 1981 and quickly became an advocate and community organizer for foreign domestic workers in private homes. She was also a founding member of the Caregivers Connections Education and Support Organization, which advocated for newcomers and caregivers. Verna Johnson, a member of the Chippewas of Noash relocated to Toronto in the 1960s to support the education of her granddaughters. She opened up a boarding house for Indigenous youth to ensure they had a cultural and spiritual home within the city. Later, she was a founding member of the Native Canadian Centre in Toronto, which continues to support Indigenous youth and adults in Toronto. Hey Yoshi, welcome. Kit Coleman was one of the first women in the world to work as a war correspondent. She covered the Boer War and also wrote for the Toronto Star and the Toronto Mail. Mary Ann Shadd Cary was the first black woman to publish a newspaper in North America. The Provincial Freeman, first published in Toronto in 1953. She was also a dedicated educator and founded a public school in Windsor, Ontario. Well, nothing's perfect. Lillian H. Smith. Smith believed in the power of libraries for young learners. In 1912, she was hired to be the head of the Toronto Public Library Children's Department, making her the first children's librarian across the entire British Empire. She expanded collections and trained staff in providing child-specific programming and outreach. Judith Snow was a graduate of Toronto's York University, was born with quadriplegia. Having experienced a lack of attention given to people who needed personalized care, she became an important organizer for disability rights. She was the first person in Canada to receive individualized attendant care and set the precedent for government-sponsored care. Bernice Redmond. Born and raised in Toronto, Redmond was the first black nurse in Canada, but she had to train in the U.S. because Canadian schools were segregated. She later returned to Canada, practiced in Nova Scotia, and was appointed to the Victorian Order of Nurses, the first black nurse to receive the distinction. Love these chairs. Laura Bolger. Bolger moved to Toronto when dictator António Salazar seized power in Portugal. She advocated for the children of Portuguese immigrants to ensure they would receive education in their first language. In the 70s, she collaborated with the Toronto District School Board on developing their multicultural education materials. Josephine Mandeman. Mandeman was an Anishinaabe elder and water walker from Wikwemikong. Walked over 27,000 kilometers around the Great Lakes to raise awareness of poor drinking water on reserves and polluted states of lakes and rivers in Canada. She's an inspiration to many, including her grandniece Autumn Pelletier, who now holds Mandeman's position of Chief Water Protector for the Anishinaabe Nation. Come back to that. Now here's a Gemini Award for Min Suk Lee. Min Suk Lee Documentarian Lee focuses her work on social justice, labor rights, and border politics. She grew up in Toronto and as a teenager joined the city's anti-apartheid movement, which she sees as her introduction to the activism that would later define her career. Jean Parkin was dedicated to public art access. She began her career as head of traveling exhibitions in adult education at the Art Gallery of Ontario. Later, she led large-scale art projects around Toronto, including art in the subways in 1975. Lee Miracle grew up in North Vancouver and joined the hippies and the Red Power movement in the late 60s. She made her way to California and Toronto working as a comedian and in film production. She returned to Vancouver in the 70s and 75 published her first book, Bobby Lee, India Rebel. Miracle was prolific. She published 7 novels, 5 non-fiction books, and 3 poetry collections. Curtin Murrah. Menaka Dakar was a dancer, choreographer, and teacher. In 1978, she established Toronto's first professional Indian dance company. Later, she taught dance at York University and at Canada's National Ballet School. Well, March 2nd, 1962, Time Magazine. Friday, August 8th, 1969. Imagine you could write a letter to any of these women. Would you ask them a question or tell them something? Add your letter to the grid. So Angela James the hockey player, what it feels like to win 4 World Hockey Championships. Which one was your favorite? You're so brave and talented, you inspire me. This is a free collection. It's on until December. I donated to, you don't have to donate. It's an obvious yes when they ask. And another day I'm gonna come. So essentially what's happened is they've picked these women, they've hired actors to do like a 5-minute dialogue as this person. And so you come and you listen to the headphones and learn about these people. At the beginning, I tried to put the headphone next to the phone just to kind of like get you inside, but it just wasn't really effective. So I decided to read the little blurbs about all the women that they have here, which I enjoyed a bit. This is really neat. Yeah, exactly. I can say I touched that mag. Yeah, the stuff that they've just got here is so cool. Ooh. Through it the night with Barry White. "40 famous menus, compliments, Loblaws." My mom used to have stuff like this. I send this to Brad Palmer, he'll make this in the bush. Nice old-timey phone. I remember these. Yoshi doesn't know what this is. Hey, Robert Spray, how are you? Oh, this is Chinese New Year. You put money in it and you give it as a gift. I'm just about done here, but I'm not gonna end the stream because I'm hungry and I'm gonna go to the well. I'm just gonna do one last pass through and look at cool stuff here. It's a doctor's bag? No. Oh, this is Kit, the war correspondent. Oh, breast pumps. There you go. End violence against women.
Have my suspicions as to what caused
Lifetime Achievement Award for Reverend Dr. Sherry Devano. My mom had a sewing machine like this. Oh, I had that. Yep. The Helix Oxford Mathematical Instruments. Even in my apartment, I have a thing full of this. Puritan made hosiery. head out. And we're going to explore the building a little bit. Why not? So here's the point. The 52, Stories of Women Who Transformed Toronto. 52 celebrates different women and individuals, both historical and contemporary, who made indelible mark on the ways we work, learn, and experience life in Toronto today. Some kicked down doors, others fought for space, and they all forged new paths that made it easier for generations that came after them. Exhausting, you bet, but probably a little exhilarating too. Their stories are heartbreaking, exciting, inspiring, and courageous. Ultimately, life today wouldn't be the same without them and their work. Why 52? It comes from the 2021 Canadian Census, which revealed that women make up 52% of the population of Ontario. But we're not stopping at 52. The project started in 2023 and will continue in the upcoming years. And they will add more individuals to the list. And everything happens because banks pay for them. And a lot of other people did too. And how far have we come? The women in this exhibition accomplished a lot. But change took a really long time, and we still live with barriers. To your right are a few facts about women's rights and representation in Canada. Read the facts and place a ball in the tube of any fact you find a little surprising. And if nothing surprises you, leave all the balls for other visitors. Okay, women has never led the federal Liberal Party. I knew that. Canadian women couldn't get their own credit cards until 74. I did not know that. So I'm putting the goal in here. It took until 1993 for a black woman, Jean Augustine, to be elected to the House of Commons. I didn't know that. Ontario women earn about 87 cents to every dollar earned by a man, and it's lower for marginalized women. Well, I knew that. In fact, when I went to management course at the KEG, we were both men and women there, and the person in charge of HR said, ladies, and I don't think she used that term, she says, you have to understand what you make versus the person next to you makes, because every one of you make less money than they do. So you figure that out. It's absolutely true. Women were not allowed memberships at Ontario's Toronto Heart House until 1972. Canada has no trans women, trans feminine politicians at the federal level, unlike the USA and UK. One fun fact, I worked at a place called the University Club, which is right beside the US Embassy, or US Consulate on University Avenue. It's a private club. Private clubs exist basically so wealthy white people don't have to hang out with people who aren't wealthy and white. And it wasn't for hundreds of years before women even were allowed into these clubs, and they had to go to court to make that happen. And University Club, when I worked there were still areas of the club, even though women were allowed to be members, they weren't allowed to sit in certain places. Because the old judges at the University Club just wouldn't let it happen. So boy, it takes a long time for things to change. Oh, Robert, thank you. I did enjoy that Oakville walk. My feet got tired. And I'm sorry I missed a lot of stuff in the chat. Yeah, you know what was cool is that you could actually touch stuff, right? The stuff they didn't want you to touch was in glass, but you could touch newspaper articles and stuff. Thank you.
Postcard?
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
No problem. It's a beautiful postcard.
Okay.
Take a copy of it.
Oh, that's neat. Thank you very much.
No problem. Take care.
Now I'm going to pause for a second because I want to put this postcard in my bag. And yes, I'm going to explore.
Like if we had more, I wouldn't be too worried, but yeah.
Murray Palmer. I love these sets of bags.
So we sent postcards to Europa.
Yes.
Oh, this is a neat store. Oh my, Motley Crue, 1984. I have seen Motley Crue in concert. Oh, neat.
And also another option.
Trash
is,
Panda.
Like, later today, you get the approval for those. You can also buy them online for pickup.
Oh,
And
okay.
then we could be able to put them aside and have them ready for you to pick up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I know the second I walk
Oh,
in the
these
door,
are
I'll get it.
awesome.
It'll be okay, but don't want to risk it.
Yeah, it was fair. There you go. And I'll get your receipt here.
Okay, Brad Palmer.
When you send more than 50
Thank you.
You also get like a free copy of our magazine, so I can give you a couple if you wanted.
Tooth's $12.50 for that's a good price for a tooth.
Would 5 be okay, or do you want less?
The beach.
There you go.
What is it?
Yeah,
It's,
they're all called the
Toronto
beach.
Shoes and,
Neat.
and specifically from like an urbanist lens. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, of course, go for it.
No. 37 lost buildings in Canada. Oh, this store's fucking cool. Graffiti Alley. With a trash panda.
You need a bag? I do. But they're free, so. Just what you're needing.
smells like High Park cherry blossoms. This candle smells like Midland Station. It might not be good. This candle smells like the Maddie. The Madison. Cigarettes and beer? Buttons for all the TCC stations. Cool. This is mine. To all you TTC explorers, this is a must. $2 for buttons, $3 for magnets. I'm gonna skip this store because I'll just stay in there forever. Hey, how are you? Good. Digging the tunes.
Sorry?
Set up lighting music.
Gracias.
No pull, no muzzy art here. Amy would love this. Thank you.
Of course.
Whole slouch just hanging around. those cheap blinds you get from IKEA. Hello. These are all buildings with old beams. Neat. Here's the 401 Gallery Guide. So this is all the shops, cafes, and artist spaces that are here. Actually reviewed this when I got here, so I didn't do an unauthorized tour of the place. There we are. April 9th to December 20th, 2025. Stories of women who transformed Toronto. And we're at Museum Toronto. Now I'm going to go to the well and get something to eat. Because I'm starving. Here's the space I was just at. Hey Juanita, I appreciate you. Art is not seen enough. And that was so great because you have artists, actors, portraying all those people, all those women. So I'm going to go back without a camera on another day and just listen, because there's about 3 hours worth of listening to do at that place. Well has the best food court in any mall in Toronto by far, hands down. May not be the busiest. I think the urban one down at Eden Centre seats thousands. is Avalanche the architect? I don't know. Guerrilla marketing. Yeah. Or I could get a bowl of French onion soup. Another one-way street, this time we're in Adelaide. And there's no looking both ways as we're on a one-way street, but we'll do it anyway. Cool, his stream is rewound. Those old-timey fire escapes. Here is where I'm going to end the stream. Thank you for hanging out and checking out 52 Stories of Women Who Transformed Toronto.